Good morning, everybody. My name's Alisa, for those of you who don't know me, and I wanted to just come on and have a little conversation with you about our mental health because what's going on in the world right now is crazy. It's not even a reality that we understand, and it's not short term. It's going to be going on for quite a while, and I want to talk about our mental health and our mental well balance. And the reason why it's becoming so clear to me that it's something we need to talk about a little more is I want to share an experience that I had quite a few years ago during 9/11. So those of you who don't know me personally wouldn't know that I was actually a flight attendant during 9/11. And it affected me deeply. So I was 23 years old at the time. I was quite young and had never experienced anything like it. And what happened is I was at the airport the day of. We actually got grounded. It was like something I'd never seen ever before. I remember people not believing what was happening. I remember them turning off all the televisions because it was so horrific. They didn't want people to see. I remember us being in shock that we were all grounded, and it just became information overload. When I finally did get released from work and told that we weren't going anywhere and that the airlines were closing temporarily, I remember driving to my mom's school. So my mom at the time was a grade 8 teacher, and I drove straight to her. Suddenly, I was 23 years old. I was experiencing extreme stress, and I needed my mommy. So I went with her and I just hung out with her because it was just so unnerving. I needed to be aware around something that was normal. I needed normalcy. So after that, I was stuck at home for 5 days because the skies were closed. And I was stuck at home for 5 days. And for those 5 days, I was obsessed with watching the news. I remember because at that then internet wasn't really a big thing for getting your information. So I was obsessed with CNN. I watched it almost 24/7. I remember with my girlfriend, Kirsten, we were calling and talking on the phone constantly. Did you see this? Did you see that? Do you know this? What about that? And it just became an obsession. I did that for 5 days. So 5 days, the skies open up again, and I ended up being one of the first flights called back to be up in the air. And I had the honor and I don't know how to explain it. I ended up being one of the first flights back up in the air, and we were sent to New York, and we brought survivors home. And when you go through an extreme incident, you do one of two things, in my opinion. You shut down and you don't talk about it, or you can't stop talking about it because it's the only thing that can work to help you survive and to move on. So we brought those survivors home, and I remember us holding their hands and talking with them and thinking about how brave they were that they got back on the plane. I remember how the airport was eerie, it was empty. And those stories that they told us, they never went away. And I took them in so much they became my dreams. I would dream about them all the time. And the year after that, my mental well-being wasn't in a good place. I would cry on the way to work. I would get ready, put all my makeup on, be in my uniform. I would drive to work. I would get there early so I could spend half an hour in my car crying, because the idea of getting back on a plane was petrifying to me. I would go and I would do my flight. I would go to my layover and I would cry in my hotel room and I would barely leave. And it continued like that for a year. And I know that I didn't tell most people. I know that I pretended like everything was okay because I didn't understand that that was a normal reaction. I didn't understand I wasn't the only one. I didn't understand that there were things I could have done to help it. I then, after being a flight attendant for 5 years, I then went on and I worked for police for 14 years. And again, I put myself in high stress. Now, I was really good at my job. I was great. But all that stress had a big toll on me, and all that negativity had a big toll on me. And I now don't do that anymore. I'm now an entrepreneur. And but for the last several years, I've worked really hard to make sure I get my mental well-being and my balance back in place. I make sure that, yes, hard things happen. Yes, life gets stressful. Yes, things happen, but that I have tools in place to recenter myself and to make sure that I don't stay in those places. So, coming forward to today, or what's going on in the world right now with COVID-19, is I noticed I started to do some of those bad habits I used to do before. Is I was spending too much time on social media. I was getting tunnel vision. I was reading everything I could find. I was getting totally obsessed with being online. It was tunnel vision, and it was back to me creating what had happened to me during 9/11. That same experience. Now, I know other people experience it so worse and have so much harder, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is I started to recognize I was triggering myself and I was causing my own stress and negativity. And when we know that this is going on long term, this is just not good for us. So if you've noticed in the past several days, I haven't been posting very much. I haven't been doing a lot of videos, and it's intentional because I was getting out of balance. So I actually removed myself from a lot of social media. I limited. I started to turn the news on to watch, and I also, please, please, please be careful on where you're getting your information from. It's making me so sad. I am getting so many misinformation things sent to me or tagged to me. Guys, pay attention to who your source is. So anyway, so here's what I do. I want to know what's going on in the economy. So every day, our premier and our prime minister are doing their announcements and their updates. I watch for 5 minutes. Then I turn it off. I don't listen to the questions or anything else. I turn it off. I shut it down. I am limiting how much I am watching. I am giving myself times, and I'm actually timing myself on how long I'm on social media. I am leaning into my family right now. We are doing lots of fun things. Life is not perfect. I'm not running an amazing homeschooling, but we have certain rules like you need to read every day, do a little bit of math, teach mom some math because mom sometimes doesn't know that. We've been coloring our windows so that our neighbors, when they're walking, they can see their windows. We had done our sidewalks, but then it rained, or snowed. It rained and snowed, but we're doing our windows. We're playing games. We taught our daughter how to play poker and Romoli. I'm sure there's an educational portion in that. I'm getting to sit and do math with Andy that we haven't done in a while because often he comes home from school and he needs to de-stress that we don't actually get to do some of our learning stuff. So we're doing math, we're doing reading, we're seeing skills that we didn't know he had. He's starting to go and get books and bring them to us so that we can actually read the books with him. Often he's so de-stressing still from school, he doesn't do that. Or, you know what? We're busy. So we're enjoying the slowdown. I am making sure that I am taking time to be grateful for the things that I have. And sometimes it's as simple as the sun came up today. We got to look outside today and we saw a cardinal. There was a bunny in our backyard. But I'm making sure that I'm taking time to notice those positive things so I'm not just taking in the negative things. Do I know that horrible things are happening in the world? Absolutely. Do I take them to heart? You have no idea how much I care about what's going on in our world and what's happening. But that can't be my only focus because that is not how we're going to survive. That is not how we're going to come out stronger. By making sure to take care of my neighbors, yep, I did groceries. My husband is still working. He's considered essential at this point. So he is still going out. So we are doing groceries for people that need it. We are dropping things off. The other thing I'm doing is every once in a while, and if you know me and you haven't got a note yet, it's coming. I am sending positive messages to a couple of friends a day just to check in, whether it's to make them laugh, whether it's to say hello, whether it's to say you're awesome. Just because we need to shift that. So I'm choosing to use it for good. I'm going to be getting back to business, just so you know. And what else am I doing? I'm reading books. I'm listening to my podcasts because that changes the mood as far as your mental well-being. Audible is now free right now. But just remember, whatever you choose to let in to your brain, that is what you're going to keep putting out there. So guys, all I'm saying is stay well, be safe, but take care of your mental well-being as much as your physical health. And I hope you're doing well. I send you love, and I'd love to hear a good message from you. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.